Well, what could I do with that 3 hours that would yield me more profit? Well, in 3 hours, I could make 12 renewal review calls. And of those 12 renewal review calls, I could cross-sell 3 or 4 of them and generate more revenue. I could get a referral. I could stop someone from shopping. I could bump coverage. I could always level up that time to be more profitable if I didn't have to cater to these people who are on the lower end. Hey, Stephen Harrington.
Hey, Kelly Donahue.
Hi. So today we're gathered here to talk a little bit about how do we fire a client?
Ooh.
I know, scandaloso.
With cause or without cause?
It's like, to me, when you fire a client where it's like you're at the very last level of marriage counseling, or like, to put it into other terms, like you're on your third performance improvement plan. I don't think we fire clients. In fact, in my blog, I talk a lot about how we need to rehabilitate clients. We might need to rehab them. So some things you probably have experienced, like maybe they're just with the wrong account manager, like the personalities aren't jamming. Some clients are very direct. And if they're with more of a emotion, feelings based, want to be loved account manager, like they can just get real jammy. And you flip them around to somebody else and it's fine. That's not somebody to fire. That's a rehab. Or somebody who's got constant late payments, but is a Chubb client and has money. Well, we just need to rehab them and get them on EFT or pay in full, right?
I just talked to my agent today about my renewal, which is on automatic deduction. So no worries there. But I was like, the rate just went up again. Maybe I should pay in full. And she's like, I would die if you paid in full because you're always on EFT. But I think if we tell the client the rules of the game and give them the option or tell them what our expectation is, why not?
Yeah. And I want to say, if you're listening to this podcast or watching it, go to the notes or go to the blog because you can download our free guide on how to get people on EFT. And this is really a process pack we'd normally sell. But we had so much stuff going on that I didn't want it sitting out there. So you're getting it for free. Get it before you can buy it. And it's got scripts, flyers, what to put with receipts. It's got everything that you need. So some of these clients that you're spending time on, we can rehab. So when I really look at like firing clients, it's, to me, they need to have like 2 or 3 on the checklist that I have in the blog of like bad payment, high claims. They want to be remarketed. They don't meet the agency standard. They're jerk faces. Like we keep looking through those items. And if they hit 2 or 3 of those, you need to really look at it and say, this person might need to be moved on. I don't necessarily think if it's one that it's time to move on. I think it's got to be a combo pack.
I mean, maybe if they're lying or cheating or stealing, but
you're right. I do feel that way.
You're not telling us the truth on purpose.
If you have an unethical client, it's in sync. Bye.
Right. But I think the others have to be a combination.
I think so too. And I think sometimes your staff gets emotional because they're not maybe happy with the client. So they come in, they're like, oh my gosh, this person and blah, 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 blah. And I always like to say, we'll talk about it tomorrow. And then a lot of times people chill out a bit and come back a little clearer head, or you've got time to review the account. And you realize that there's some modifications that can be made. Or sometimes we realize we ticked them off. But look, we said we're going to call them Tuesday. You got your butt handed to you because it was Thursday. They're not a jerk. We messed up. When I talk about firing clients, because I've talked about this on stages and speaking events and everything else, and I'll always get this one comment. So it's like someone like in the back, I'm like, what do I say? And I just realized, like, if you've never fired someone before, terminated their employment, that first termination, you're kind of like, like word salad, right? Or if you've never broken up with somebody, it's like word salad, right? Like,
right.
Now, if you've ever been broken up with like by a professional, like people who like, it's like somehow they make you feel good about it. You're like, yeah, maybe we're just not, you're kind of right. But if you get broken up by somebody who just doesn't know what they're doing, you're so confused at the end. Yeah, I haven't been broken up.
Was it them? I don't know what happened, but it's okay.
Yeah. But like I dated some smooth operators in my day, like in my 20s. And there was like at the end, I was just like, here's the thing. Just need to work on myself a little bit. And you're like, you're kind of a narcissist. So back onto like how we fire people. I want to give people a few tips, and then I promised them in my solo podcast that we would role play this out. Okay. So
many promises.
Yeah. First of all, if you're going to fire a client, you need to have all the research. So don't go on just what your staff tells you. Okay. tear apart the file, look at it, scuba a little bit if you need to, so you can find the details. And once you're clear on the fact that they can't be rehabilitated or we've tried and it just hasn't worked, it is the leader and or owner's responsibility to have this phone call. I do not believe it's the account manager's responsibility to have this phone call. Okay.
Unless they really want to.
And even if they do, it could be like, I want to talk to your manager. Well, just be right there and be like, I'm here. I support
Right.
this. I approve this message, like.
Right.
So I think that that's the first thing. The second thing is, I do believe you just have to cut to the chase. Like, this isn't like a social friendly phone call. This is more of a scenario. And the third thing I'll tell you is it's not a bad idea to go and get the carrier on your side if you can and say, we're struggling. Here's the deal. Is there a way you could non-renew this person at renewal and go from there? Now, I do think we need to stay on it until renewal. Okay. Like, unless we can get the person to leave us, which is fine. And I do think you should make the exit professional. Give them a copy of their policy. Give them some options for people to call. Let them know, try to help them have a graceful exit versus a bloody massacre. So do you have any other tips for how maybe to address that?
The one that we dealt with commonly was late pay. Like, they canceled for non-payment. And so once we started setting the rules for the team, they get two chances. The first time is, oopsie doodle, we realize things happen. Maybe next time you change your checking account information or get a new debit card, quote unquote, you give us a call so we can get this taken care of. Even if it was wrong to begin.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second time it cancels, like, hey, you know what? This is the one chance we have for you. The first time we rewrite it, we may not be able to help you again. And then the second time is like, hey, I'm so sorry. You've already had this issue. And there's really no other options we have. I recommend you call A, B, or C. So I think if we're
it's nice when they've left you,
time,
right? You don't have to welcome them back.
Right. So I think it's one of the easiest ways to break up with a bad payment person is tell them what the expectation is, what the rules are.
Mm-hmm.
And set
boundaries
from the beginning. Boundaries. But then hold to it. Their sad story cannot break you down anymore.
I'm setting up my boundaries with you right now, which is no more riffraff on the payments.
No more cancellation.
So let's think about this, right? Do you want to be the agent or the client?
I want to be the client, I think.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes.
So I'm breaking.
What if I take my mind halfway through?
All right. So we'll just say that this is a scenario where you've hit a couple of them. You have a lot of claims.
Mm-hmm.
You have some payment issues. And generally, you're a little snarky and not super nice to the team, maybe swearing a little bit and demanding that you'll only talk to so-and-so and that why is they not available right now because you're calling.
Got it.
So I'm going to let you down easy. Let's see if I can channel my inner breakup. Right. Been so long. It's been so long. This is going to feel good. Like this. Okay. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, is this Steven?
Yeah, what's up?
Steven, well, I'm glad I caught you. This is Kelly Donahue, owner of Donahue Piro Insurance. How are you doing today?
What? Why you guys keep calling me? This is very annoying.
Oh, I completely understand. I was actually just looking into your account. And, in looking at it, I could see that maybe there's some opportunity for us to find a better home for your insurance. I think you've been a little frustrated with our way we operate. And I know that there's been some payment challenges and some claims. So I wanted to call and recommend that, it would be a great opportunity at renewal for you to find another agency.
Isn't insurance for claims though? Like, I have a claim, so you're supposed to pay it?
So, you know what we recommend? That you use insurance for the times that you absolutely need it. Many people go ahead and put small claims in. And then what happens is similar to what's on your file. Your rates have gone up and the carrier is also pending to, drop your insurance because it's not profitable for them. So that's why I want to get ahead of this and say, I'm going to give you a copy of your policy. And my recommendation is you call 1-800-BEEP.
But
they can definitely help you.
I'll just call Tiffany at the office because Tiffany always helps me. So I'll just call her back and have her shop it for me then.
Well, here's the good news. As the owner,
I'll take care of it.
Tiffany's amazing. And as the owner of the agency, what I'm recommending, and Tiffany and I had a conversation about it, is at this point in time, there's really nothing else that we can do to help you on your insurance. And that's why we want to make a recommendation that you call X company at your to get that established, because just looking at it, I can see you've been frustrated with our services. And a lot of times we kind of identify and work with a little bit of a different type of clientele. And knowing your profile, you're going to be an excellent fit and be completely satisfied by going to X company.
Oh, okay. So how long do I have to take care of that?
We're going to, up until your renewal. So your policy's here to your renewal. I'm going to send you an email with everything that you need and a couple names of people I think that could be a better fit for you. But honestly, I just want you to have a great insurance experience. And I think that some of the companies I'm going to recommend are just going to be just a better fit for you.
Okay. So I'll call them, and if they can help me, I'll call Tiffany back then.
You know what? On that front, I prefer you call me back, but I just want to make it very upfront and clear that upon your renewal, we will no longer be your agency. So we're going to terminate our relationship at that point.
Oh, well, then I should probably find some solutions then, since you can't help me.
Yeah.
Just another disappointment.
That's why I want to make sure that we give you all the resources so you can get this squared away and find the best home for your insurance.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen. You gave me a little run for my money there. That was good.
I have such a hard time being me. I'm such a nice person.
Yeah, but I think it's the concept of, you pushed me to be a little direct. I was hoping you would get what I was putting down without having to go for the jugular. And you really love Tiffany. I almost want to why are you stop being such a jerk face to Tiffany, and maybe this whole thing could have reconciled. But I don't want you to be in an abusive relationship where it's up and down with Tiffany either. You're yelling at her one day, hey, baby, come back the next,
Well, I think that some of our clients have their favorite agent. But when they're hearing from somebody else, even if it's the owner, I think a lot of times there's pushback. They're like, that's great, but I'll just call Tiffany. Tiffany will take care of it.
Right. And that's where somebody that needed a fire comes in, is that the account managers have not had maybe a good enough backbone to manage those relationships, and they've just gotten walked over. It's 10 times easier to start a new relationship on different terms than it is to fix an existing one. It's even there, some agents of that one might have been like, well, you could tell Tiffany, but we need to get you on EFT and no more claims and do the threatening. But let's be honest, when we're having these conversations in most agencies, we're not at the warning phase. Most of us are at the do not resuscitate phase. We hold on way too long to some of these clients.
No, I absolutely agree. I think that we need to take a look at the account as a whole, see if it's profitable for the agency. And when it hits those couple of triggers, we have to have a way to say goodbye.
Well, and I would even stress to people, I did the math in the blog of even payment issues. And, if you're spending 3 hours a year on payment stuff because you're taking a payment 12 times, and there's another 3 or 4 times where there's an issue or relapse or reinstatement, and it adds up to 3 hours. Well, on $1,000 policy where you make 13% commission, you make $15. And that's probably still eaten up along the way with overhead and everything else.
Right.
So then if you do that and you add in claims, you're upside down, or you have to pay a producer on top of that, you're just bleeding out money. And even if you're not, say you're fine making $15 profit. Great. Well, what could I do with that 3 hours that would yield me more profit? And so I'm always thinking to myself of well, in 3 hours, I could make 12 renewal review calls. And of those 12 renewal review calls, I could cross-sell 3 or 4 of them and generate more revenue. I could get a referral. I could stop someone from shopping. I could bump coverage. And so I'm thinking to myself, I could always level up that time to be more profitable if I didn't have to cater to these people who are on the lower end.
Well, and I think the team is a lot more likely to spend more time where they need to with the good client, or the client that can be rehabilitated, when they know that they have a way to get rid of the dead weight or the bad client.
Yeah, it boosts morale. And I think you also think if your team is so sick of dealing with bust outs that you lose people, how expensive is that for the agency to recruit, interview, find, train, onboard, blah, blah, blah. So I just want us all to be very cognitive of the idea here that your time is worth something. And you have to look at these clients and free them up from your team. And honestly, your team will work harder because they feel like you have their back.
When I was on the agency side, that was one of the things we empowered the team to do too, was bring it to our attention if the client wasn't a good fit any longer. And sometimes, like you said, we would find another account manager that would get along great with them and the relationship would change. Other times it was no matter what we do, no matter what we say,
right, It's just the end of the line.
Agency, right?
And I'll leave you guys with this. You don't have to be open for business for everybody, right? Like you could say, these are our people and this is who we want to attract. And that's it. I had to take a Southwest flight today, which does not attract my type of traveler. It was like a cruise ship. Like the average age on the Southwest plane was easily like 78 years old. And none of them know how to travel. And they're all like, it's like a plane of my mom. That's the best way to put it. And then there's children screaming. So like Delta business traveler, right? You get on, no riffraff, internet works, you cruise. So I am not a Southwest person. It just so happened that I need to get to Baltimore and it was direct from Rhode Island in a 45-minute flight. So I suck it up, Buttercup, but they're not trying to find outlets for me. It's okay that we're not open for everybody. And we need to keep making our processes around the people that we do want to target, not the people who we feel like we have to serve, because being open for everybody means you're really open for nobody. Any final parting words on firing clients?
I think that when we empower the team to think that way, that we get them to really understand the great clients and how to keep them, that their mindset changes as well. And they'll bend over backwards for the right client to get things done and appreciate the great client, as long as they know that dead weight is going to be moved off of them.
Yes. And I will leave you with two things. One, I love to say, instead of firing clients, it sounds so dramatic, that we're going to relocate the client outside of our agency. And I have also in the blog called him client terrorists. You have a terrorist cell inside your organization. You need to get rid of them. The other thing I'll say is this is something we do in the agency assessment and our agency efficiency program, which is tiering clients, identifying this. So if you're looking for help with this, contact us. Like we have the whole system down pat where it's not so difficult, but we need to identify our VIPs and our DNRs that do not resuscitate so that your team knows where to spend time. So thanks, Stephen, for joining my podcast.
Thank you.